but nothing real in the real world is more energy efficient than Bitcoin. And nothing in the real world is cleaner, more sustainable than Bitcoin, not that we can find.
So Bitcoin mining is good for the grid. And there are primarily three reasons for that. One is it solves for generation in that it creates an economic incentive for power generators to build more capacity, more wind, more solar, more hydro, more geothermal. And so this is the key incentive that will drive the transition in the US to more renewable energy and around the world. It also solves for transmission constraints. The grid is a highly inefficient way of distributing energy. You can only really send electricity 500 miles before it loses the majority of its power. So what you need to do is find ways to consume that energy at the point of generation. As Michael covered in the slides earlier, there's a huge amount of energy that is wasted in this country because it can't be consumed and it is lost in the form of heat and other aspects in transmission. Bitcoin mining behind the meter at the point of power generation solves for this. In the US, for example, if we generate approximately 4 terawatts per hour of energy in this country and consume it, and you calculate that we lose approximately 8% just through transmission, there are lots of other ways we lose energy, but just through transmission, then that's essentially 320 gigawatts per hour of energy that is wasted that could be used by Bitcoin mining, and Bitcoin miners don't consume that much energy on a per hour basis. So just using it at the point of generation would solve for that loss. Lastly, it's the demand response aspect, and that has to do with the fact that do you want to impact consumers and shut down their use of power, or would you prefer that a large consumer like a Bitcoin miner gets shut down for a couple of hours so that cities and towns can have full energy when they need it in the summer because it's hot or in the winter because it's cold? I think the choice is quite obviously have one single large volume customer like a Bitcoin miner and curtail their energy when it's needed. Last slide, please, or second to last slide, please. Thank you. In California, this graph shows how often on a year-by-year basis, the renewable energy was essentially curtailed or shut down because there was not enough demand to consume it. And you see every year, more and more times, the renewable energy systems are shut down because, or curtailed, because there's excess energy production and not enough consumption. In 2021, that represented 1,441 gigawatt hours that were curtailed or wasted effectively. It's power that could have been provided, but there wasn't a consumer for it. Had there been a Bitcoin miner behind the meter at these locations of renewable energy generation, they could have produced 16,000 Bitcoin, or at today's current price of approximately $40,000 a Bitcoin, that would be nearly $700 million in Bitcoin, quite a significant amount that could have contributed to the economic well-being of the state and its people. Last slide, please. Lastly, power companies view Bitcoin miners now as strategic energy partners because we are perfect baseload customers. We act like this capacitor. We provide them with any economic incentive to build more capacity, and we also provide them with a large store of energy that they can shut down at very short notice to provide the grid with excess energy. And for citizens, it means instead of curtailing their devices, their appliances, and impacting their quality of life negatively, Bitcoin miners can take that responsibility and shut down. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jason to bring us home.
So here are the quarterly charts. We've now got 4 quarters of data, so we're delighted about that. You can see in the upper left quadrant, in Q1, electricity consumption peaked in the modern era, or at least it seemed to be quite high. We're at 13,125 megawatts. You can see after the China exodus in Q2, the hash rate fell dramatically. In fact, the hash rate fell 46%, but the electricity consumption fell 53%. That's because the fleets in China were less efficient, and of course that caused an impact. Electricity consumption moved back up in Q3. It was up 21%, but the hash rate was up 48%. In Q4, the hash rate jumped 27%, right? It came back to an all-time high, 169 exahash, which slightly exceeds Q1. But you can see the electricity consumption of the Bitcoin network was only up 17%. And so what's going on there? Well, the hash rate is being replaced with much more efficient equipment on the network. The network is becoming more technically intensive and less energy intensive. And we can see it in the lower left corner. The mining efficiency is measured as the petahash divided by megawatts. And you can see we were using 1 megawatt to generate 12.6 petahash in Q1. In Q2, we moved up to 14.4. In Q3, we moved to 17.7. In Q4, we saw an improvement in efficiency, energy efficiency of the Bitcoin mining network of 9% quarter over quarter. This is a stunning number. That 9% takes us to 19.3 petahash per megawatt.
So the title here is Bitcoin mining is a people business. That's the point I want to get across today. And I think that's something that's not well understood or known enough about Bitcoin mining. People think about Bitcoin mining as being, solely the computational process that takes place. They think about all the ASICs, today ASICs, previously other types of hardware, but ASICs that are driving this, and that's all it is. And that's what you see pictured here on the right. Racks and racks as far as the eye can see of ASICs. What people don't think about enough and don't understand is the people that go into making that work, also pictured here on this image on the right. While it may be these ASICs that are doing the computation-driven consensus system, the ASICs are supported by robust, purpose-built infrastructure built specifically for Bitcoin mining. It's not about finding a warehouse somewhere and throwing a bunch of miners in. At this day and age in Bitcoin mining, infrastructure is purpose-built, and that is driven by a wide variety of occupations. It is not just Bitcoin-specific engineers. It's not software engineers alone. It's not people with a ton of experience specifically Bitcoin mining. It's good old-fashioned blue-collar jobs make Bitcoin mining work. There's construction, there's electrical engineer, there's a whole host of occupations and people that go into making Bitcoin mining possible. And all of these occupations, all of these different types of roles are really driving innovation in the sector. And yes, it happens within Bitcoin. Innovation is happening on a very technical level, but there's innovation within more traditional industries as well. The electrical engineering and construction techniques that go into making Bitcoin mining work, the goal we all have to be efficient with our cooling, with our power, normal just electrical and construction jobs are helping driving this innovation. Furthermore, these jobs are finding themselves all over the country. It's not just in major tech hubs. It's not, a bunch of jobs being created in Silicon Valley. Bitcoin mining goes to where the opportunity is. We've been talking today, Fred was just talking about how Bitcoin mining goes to where the surplus or congested energy is. So when you talk about expanding Bitcoin mining operations and the job creation that goes alongside that, that's taking place all over the place and not just major hubs. As a result, we see Bitcoin mining is being exposed to a greater majority of the population. Wherever the opportunity there exists to build this infrastructure, there are people being exposed to it. So, now I want to talk a little bit about an example of a Bitcoin mining operation on the next slide here, please, Taras. So on the right here, we have a picture of Riot's Windstone facility in Rockdale, Texas. It's about 350 megawatts that's currently being built up to 700 megawatts. On the left here, you see all the different types of jobs that go into maintaining and building out an operation of this scale. And this is just one operation here. This is just one example. You see with the positions listed here, you got approximately 160 full-time positions for this facility. Beyond that, you have over 300 contract laborers that are supporting that team and are helping build out the occupation, build out the rest of the facility. So there really is a major impact on a community that has this Bitcoin mining operation in it. And for those not familiar with Rockdale, Texas, this is a city with a population of some 5,000 people. So when you look at all the job creation and all the workers that are going into making this possible, this is a really big part of this community. And it's something that community is proud of. And so, I think I wanted to highlight this example and talk about this specific topic because I think a lot of people do not fully grasp the amount of people that go into supporting Bitcoin mining, especially at the industrial scale that it reached today, that it's come to today.